Today we are channeling a little more Pinterest inspiration, and these all just happen to be Easter themed. What is up, you guys? My name is Kira if you are new, and in today's video I'm bringing you a little bit more Pinterest inspiration, and these are all revolved around Easter, which is right around the corner. Now, if you guys just saw my Pinterest recipe video that I put up like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I talked to you guys about wanting to share things that I have pinned on my Pinterest board that I always have pinned that I never actually do, and share it with you guys every couple of weeks. And so I figured now would be a great time to capitalize on some of those Easter themed things. Now, I have a board that is specific just to Easter, and then I also, like I mentioned in my last video, have that board called Be Still My Heart, where I have all of my favorite desserts, and some of them I just thought would end up being perfect to share right now for Easter time. So I'm going to take you down into my kitchen. I have 2 recipes to share with you that will be perfect for Easter, and then I have 2 things that are more like decor pieces, because you know Pinterest is always good for things that are decor related. So let's find out if these end up being Pinterest successes or Pinterest fails. So the first recipe that we are going to make is carrot cake cookies. I'm not sure if you guys know, but you can pretty much use any cake mix out there, and just by changing whether or not you add oil or butter, whether or not you add water, how many eggs you use, literally just changes the density on whether or not it's going to fluff up like a cake, it's going to be dense like a brownie, or similar to a cookie consistency. So I found this carrot cake mix at Big Lots, and I thought that would be absolutely perfect to make some carrot cake cookies. And we're going to cover them in cream cheese frosting and some chopped walnuts, because cream cheese frosting and chopped walnuts pretty much go perfect with a carrot cake. Now, I do have my daughter Maya helping me in the kitchen this day, because turning any kind of cake mix into cookies is so easy that it's a great recipe to help get your kids involved. So we did take the carrot cake mix and throw that in the bowl, and then we needed 2 eggs. Now, I've taught my daughter she has to crack the eggs separately in a bowl to check for shells, and I swear she is 4 and she never gets a shell. She amazes me every time. All right, now we're going to take 1 stick of butter and throw it in the microwave until it melts, and now you're going to add that to your mix. So 2 eggs, 1 stick of melted butter, and mix it up. That's it. That's all you need to do to take a cake mix and turn it into cookie consistency. So you can pretty much doll your batter up any way you want to and add different flavors, but that's all that you need to get it to go from cake mix to cookie form. And you'll see that the consistency of the batter allows you to roll it between your fingertips. It still will get a little tacky on your hands, so maybe dusting your hands with a little bit of flour may make you feel more comfortable, but you'll be able to roll the dough between your hands and make even balls. And as you can see, I think we ended up getting ourselves 18 cookies out of them, which I think is pretty average for a basic cookie recipe. So once they came out of the oven, we cooked them at 350 for anywhere between 9 to 12 minutes. My oven took approximately 11 minutes, but it gave us the perfect cookie. Maya and I stuck them on a cooling rack, and once they were good and cool, we frosted them with cream cheese frosting. Believe it or not, I only used 10 cookies, and I saved the rest of them in a bag and stuck them in the freezer, because these cookies and things like that freeze and defrost so well that I'm just going to pull them out when I do my spring and Easter themed lunches for the kids, so that they have carrot cake cookies to go with their lunches. But then we just crushed up some of those walnuts and sprinkled it on top of the cream cheese frosting, and that was it, you guys. Every bite tasted like a carrot cake, which was phenomenal. But you didn't have to go through all of the trouble of making a big cake and waiting for it to cool and frosting it. We only had to do it with cookies and a little sprinkle of walnuts. Now you guys can see for the next recipe, I even have these little candy carrots. So you guys could have put something like that on there and really dress it up for Easter. But it's certainly something super easy you can do for the upcoming holiday that just doesn't take a whole lot of prep. Now this recipe, you guys, takes a little bit more on the prep side. These are almond amaretto cupcakes. And I think I've mentioned to you guys a couple of times before that amaretto is up there with my all-time favorite flavor. So I knew when I found this recipe, I knew that I was going to have to share it. It does have a fair amount of ingredients and steps. So just like any other recipe or decor piece that we're going to try and put together, all of those things will be linked, the original Pinterest link down in the description box. This way you guys can go and pin the actual pin yourself and you can follow along with the actual recipe. If you guys aren't already following me on Pinterest, you can go ahead and follow me. This way you guys can access all of my boards ahead of time. And if you follow me on Instagram, I usually let you guys know, or if you watch my grocery hauls, what videos are coming up by the things that I'm purchasing. And so this should be able to maybe have you guys look ahead and be able to know what's coming up. Maybe you can get the ingredients and follow along. But you can see here that we're going to need something to make a ganache. I've never even made a ganache before. And this is the Lily's white chocolate chips. It's the sugar-free ones, but you'd never be able to tell. So I use that to cut a little bit of the sugar. I have some amaretto here and some heavy whipping cream. And so those are the only ingredients that we are going to need to make this ganache. So that was probably the easiest step out of all the steps to make the ganache that we're going to put inside of the cupcake. And then we're actually going to make a fresh cupcake batter. So for that, you're going to need flour, sugar, we're going to need baking powder. We have some almond extract here, 3 eggs, some sour cream. We need butter for the actual cupcake recipe as well as the fresh frosting that we're going to make. I have some shortening sticks here. I have some milk, and then I also have some sliced almonds that we're going to use to decorate the top. And then I do end up decorating the top with a little bit of pastel sprinkles and then these little candied carrots that I think just really bring in the idea of the season. So I went ahead and poured all 7 ounces of our baking chips into a bowl and then added a 1/4 cup of milk and 3 tablespoons of amaretto to a measuring cup and then stuck it in the microwave. And I put it on for about a minute until you saw the milk and amaretto start to bubble. So it's essentially boiling, which is going to burn off the alcohol but still leave you the flavor. You're going to pour it over your chocolate chips and you're going to walk away for a couple of minutes, and that hot boiling milk and amaretto eventually is going to melt your chocolate chips enough that just by using a fork, we were able to get it smooth and silky. And then we're going to put it in the refrigerator for a while until we need it later. Now in my KitchenAid mixer, I love being able to pull this baby out. We put 1 stick of room temperature butter and 3/4 cups of sugar into the KitchenAid and let it whip up. And then we added a 1/3 cup of sour cream and 2 teaspoons of almond extract. And then we again went ahead and let it whip. And now we're going to slowly start to incorporate egg whites. We needed 3 egg whites, and you're going to add it in 2 batches. So half of your egg whites in one shot, let it mix, and then the other half of your egg whites. Let it mix, scrape your bowl down, and then give it another mix. You don't ever want to overmix. So now we're going to take all of our dry ingredients, what ends up just being your flour and your baking powder, because it does call for salt, but I always omit salt if I'm using salted butter. And you're going to put half of that flour and baking powder in and give it a stir. And then you're going to add in a cup of milk and give it a good stir. And once that's done, we're going to scrape down the sides and add in the last bit of our flour. That's it. Once you're done with that, our batter is good to go. I do have these little Easter egg cupcake holders. I've had them forever and never used them. They even came with little plastic picks, which I did not use for this video, but you could have, used them for yourself. I really like the fact that these were going to be white and simple, and you be able to dress them however you wanted, whether pastel or leave it white, because I just thought that was really suiting for Easter. I ended up getting 15 cupcakes, which they said 12 to 15 is what you should get, which is exactly what I got, which never happens. But you're just going to follow the directions that you would for any box mix, 350 degrees for anywhere from 14 to 18 minutes. It took about 16 minutes for the cupcakes to be done perfectly, and then you're going to let them cool. Once they're cooled, we're going to scoop out the center so that you have a place to put this ganache. I actually ended up saving all the crumbs and making cake pops with them later. But then we're going to take our ganache out of the fridge and we're going to stick it in the stand mixer just to kind of whip it up and get it fluffy. If you don't have a stand mixer, you don't need to use one. You can use a hand mixer. This whole time you would have been fine with just using a hand mixer as well. But I enjoyed taking out my KitchenAid, and I did notice that it changed in color. It got nice and light and white and almost a fluffy, the ganache. And then I used a regular butter knife and I just spooned it right out of the KitchenAid bowl and put it into the cupcakes until it filled the hole that I made. And now it's time to make the frosting. So in there is a half a stick of shortening and 3/4 of a stick of butter. And then we're just going to incorporate our powdered sugar and some more of the almond extract and a little splash of milk just to make it wet enough so that it fluffs up nice and creamy and makes it easy for us to pipe on top of the cupcakes. I will tell you that I did go and cut the frosting measurements in half. It did say to make double what I made, and I had some left over. So when you go ahead and make this recipe for the 12 to 15 cupcakes, you don't need the amount of frosting that they tell you that you need. Like I said, I only used half, but then I put my frosting in a piping bag and used a number 5 star tip, and it allowed me just to get a little bit of that swirliness to the frosting when I piped it onto the cupcakes. I am no baker. I cannot decorate. This is pretty much the best you're ever going to get out of me because, like I said, that's not really my forte. I hold my candle in the kitchen at the stove cooking, not necessarily baking, but I did decorate them with some almonds and then some of these pastel sprinkles. There is one of those candy carrots that, again, I thought would be perfect to just kind of dress the cupcakes up for Easter. But you guys, these are so good, but they have that very heavy Amaretto almond flavor. So if you don't like that flavor, this might not be the cupcake for you, but the ganache in the middle was perfect and the frosting was light and fluffy and the cake was super moist, and I was honestly really proud of myself. I think this is one of the first times I've made cupcakes from scratch, so I really enjoyed them. All right, on to some decor pieces. And this is one of the most simple things I have ever seen. And all that you need is some swatches from Home Depot. They're free, you guys. I used a piece of paper that I had in the house and just drew a egg shape. I grabbed my scissors and then I grabbed some clear fishing line. This is what my husband had in his toolbox. I was looking for string, but I ended up just using the clear fishing line, and I think that worked out perfect. I did have to run upstairs later and grab my hole punch that you will see. It's not pictured right here, but I just went ahead and cut out the egg shape. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can always go back and trim it however you want it, but you're just going to use this as a template. And so I did 3 of the cardstock pieces of paint swatches at a time, and I just did some double-sided tape on the back of my little egg template, and I put it on top of the 3 pieces of purple, and I cut out what looked like an egg form. Now granted, it wasn't the cutest egg at first, but eventually, like I said, you can kind of go back and tweak it. And I went back and repeated that with all of the colors. So I have some yellows, some greens, some blues, purples, pinks, variations of reds. And it was just supposed to kind of bring out the pastel colors. But because there's multiple colors on one swatch, you can see that it actually looks like an egg once you cut it, which I thought was such a brilliant idea. And then once I had all of my eggs cut, I just used my hole punch and punched a hole in the middle of them. And then I just put them in the pattern that I desired and looped them onto a fishing line. So I ended up separating them. So I had three, almost like Roy G. Biv, like three sets of rainbows. And then I put them on the fishing line, and that was it, you guys. I had the perfect place in my kitchen that I knew that I wanted to hang them. And I thought this would be great, like garland. I mean, this was something that literally took no time at all for me to make. And I'm going to be able to put this in my Easter bin and use this every year because it's going to hold up in my boxes, because it's literally just paper and string. But once I was able to hang it and separate it, I just fell in love, you guys. Every time I come down to my kitchen right now and just see this beautiful rainbow like garland hung in my kitchen, it's so cheerful and it makes me so happy. And it was free ultimately, you guys, because you're allowed to grab those swatches and everything else I had at home. So it was really, really awesome to create something that barely cost anything at all. Now, this one isn't free, but it's extremely cost effective because you need very minimal things. So I have a regular plastic cup from inside of my house. I do have a glass pitcher here. I wish I would have used a larger vase, which is what I've done in the past. I'll link the Easter vlog where I made this at my mom's up above so you can see what it looks like when you make it with an actual vase. I chose the pitcher. I thought that would be cute, but it ended up kind of working to my disadvantage. I did grab some Peeps. I got these from the Dollar Tree. They're the only ones I could find that look like the bunnies. Everywhere I go, they had the chicks, and the chicks just aren't what you need to recreate this centerpiece. You really need the bunny. So I just got 2 packages. They were 4 Peeps in each. And then in my Rubbermaid Brilliance container are M&Ms. I bought a bag of the pastel M&Ms. I already picked all the green ones out and used them for the kids' St. Patrick's Day themed lunches, but I left the rest of them and I thought that they would be perfect for what we're about to put together. I'm not going to lie, you guys, though. I'm only doing this to share with you. I am still going to use those M&Ms for my kids' lunches. But what we're going to do now is just stick the cup inside of the pitcher, and then we're going to take those M&Ms and we're going to put them all around the cup. So this way it kind of gives the illusion that the entire pitcher is filled with M&Ms, but it's really not. And once you're done putting in your M&Ms, you're going to go ahead and take your Peeps and slide them between the cup and the pitcher. Here's where the pitcher worked to my disadvantage. It's just not as wide as a standard vase or like the one that I used at my mom's. So I really had to squeeze these Peeps in there, and it just didn't look as nice or as authentic as I had done before in the past, but you'll get the concept. And like I said, I'm not crafty, so you guys should be able to recreate something way better than me at home. But I threw some water in that center cup, and then I had some flowers that were on my kitchen table. I had just because flowers from my husband because he's awesome, and that worked out perfect for me to just grab those carnations and use them for today, just to kind of show you how this works. But you can use any kind of flowers or anything that you want, but this really just serves as a great way to kind of come up with a cute decoration or a way to do some kind of centerpiece for Easter. Some nice white hydrangeas would look beautiful in there. Again, you can see the picture that I popped up. They did it a heck of a lot nicer than me, so really just use me for the idea and the inspiration, and then go crazy pulling it together yourself. But I would have to say that this is a really inexpensive way of putting something super cute together on the Easter table. But that is it, you guys, for another video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to give this video a huge thumbs up. It'll let me know to keep sharing these kinds of Pinterest inspired videos. You can see if you go over and check out my boards that I am always constantly pinning. Whenever I have downtime, that's what I'm doing. I go ahead and I pin recipes or future project ideas or some kind of decor pieces, and then I just feel like I never do them. But you guys are the best kind of motivation. Without you, I probably wouldn't get up and do half the things that I do. But you guys give me the best kind of kick in the butt to get up and try to do things that I normally would never do. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed. If I don't see you back at another video, I hope you have a fantastic Easter, and it is filled with all the love and joy that every holiday brings. Subscribe if you are new and hit that little notification bell so you're notified when I upload, since I share a variety of content here on this channel. I love you guys all so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.